who said this last night to presumably all of JP Morgan's investment clients. Samuelis is the chairman of market and investment strategy for JP Morgan Asset and Wealth Management, the most powerful guy in research in the entire building. He said, here's the interesting thing about the stock market. It cannot be indicted, arrested, or deported. It cannot be intimidated, threatened, or bullied. It has no gender, ethnicity, or religion. It cannot be fired, furloughed, or defunded. It can't be primaried. It can't be seized, nationalized, or invaded. It's the ultimate voting machine, reflecting prospects for earnings growth, stability, liquidity, inflation, taxation, and predictable rule of law. What he has put into words last night, I think, is the thing that is now dawning on the markets. It's nice to have these policies. It's nice to have these grand pronouncements about punishing other companies that we trade with, et cetera. But the stock market doesn't care. What it's going to focus on is the earnings outlook going forward as a result of the policies, and you can't talk it out of repricing this risk. You can't tell it, no, stop, wait, this is going to work. The market is going to react first, and that's just the way it's always been. And I think when you're investing right now in this climate, the thing you need to pay attention to is to what extent will earnings estimates be ratcheted lower by the street, and how bad will the hit be to multiple, which is pure sentiment, not math. We don't know the full extent of that yet. We could.
Hi, everybody. This is Mike Reilly, along with Brook Reilly and Amari Clancy, our engineer, with another exciting episode of the Cleveland Real Estate Investor. What you just heard was Josh Brown, one of my favorite analysts on CNBC's halftime report, talking about the stock market. But it is relevant to what our topic is today. The market is what the market is. Now, you can apply that to the stock market. You can apply that to NFL football. Famous quote, you are what your record is. That's it. You know, if you're like the Browns, I don't know, what are you, 4-12? You're 4-12. That's it. You suck. You're lousy. If the market's going down, panic is setting in because people don't know what's happening with tariffs. That's what's happening. It's not the media. It's not the lying media. It's not Republican. It's not Democrat. It's not nonpartisan. It's not transgender. It's not black, white, whatever. It is the market. And right now, the housing market is what we're going to be talking about. What is that market right now in Cleveland? The spring market of 2025 is beginning big time this week, and especially this weekend, because lo and behold, we are back to a more normal market, still kind of leaning a little bit towards the seller, not the buyer, but it's not the COVID market, which was the LA market come to Cleveland, and it wasn't the housing crash market, which happened in 2009, 2010 when people were underwater and they couldn't sell their house. That was a buyer's market. Now we're a little bit more normal, and normal in Cleveland means when you get around to mid-March, all of a sudden that's the beginning of the spring market. So you've got that window from mid-March to mid-June, and then it kind of slows down. So Brook, talk to me about what the housing market is and your thoughts in Cleveland.
Well, I think you're right. I think it's still a seller's market, not to the extreme of, when COVID was happening where you were getting 12 offers in a weekend. But I think the biggest thing is that, if the house is priced right, and price needs to reflect condition, neighborhood of the property, in my opinion. If I'm a buyer and I'm going into a house, in Pepper Pike or Shaker, near Shaker Country Club, I'm expecting it to be priced at a certain point. I'm also expecting it to be in a certain condition. So I think for the houses that we're selling, we're in a unique situation where, these aren't McMansions. They're not, fancy $20,000 kitchens or bathrooms. These are nice houses that we've kept up for as long as we've owned them. And in some cases where when you first bought them was a major renovation. So we have these houses that are, in my opinion, they're good houses. They're great houses for first-time home buyers. They're great houses for if you're an investor where you want something nice, kept up. And, you know, what we've been doing, at least the past couple of weeks, is going into these houses, in some cases, putting in a little bit of an investment in fixing, you know, small sections of a house. In some cases, we're not doing a thing. The house is already in good shape. There's no point in putting in more money given the neighborhood, given the condition of the house. And if you do some little things like wash the windows, house is clean, bathrooms are clean, landscaped, no trash outside, furnished. Doesn't have to be furnished, but in our case, it's nice because these homes have been short-term furnished rentals, so we don't have to worry about the staging. If you hit all those little checkpoints and you talk to your realtor and you do some research on Zillow or any other, you know, big real estate website, check competitors, check comps. If you're pricing it at the right price point, like you said, you're going to get those notifications from your realtor. Like, hey, like when we listed 2 of our homes, and so far I think we've nailed that price point.
Well, let's talk about one. We just got an offer today.
That was the one that I thought was priced kind of on the higher side. Was it too high? No. Was it like reaching for the stars? No. But, you know, it was a little high, but it's a nice house. We put some money into fixing some of the hardwood floors, updated the bathroom slightly.
When you say updated the bathroom, let's just spend like a couple minutes walking through what we did to this house that we've owned for, I don't know, 6-7 years. And we did a lot of major work to it when we bought it. The irony of this house was that the owner paid us to take the house. I mean, this is a pretty incredible deal. He got married. I mean, second marriage, his first wife died, real nice guy. And he had this house and he got married. He's on the west side. His second wife's a stewardess. And basically he kind of forgot about the house and he really got into a state of disrepair just sitting there. And when we told them, we said, hey, listen, you have to put $100,000 in on this house or just tear it down. Why don't you just tear it down, you know, if you don't want to put 100 in. And so he was between a rock and a hard place. And I told him that if he tore it down, he'd still own the land. He'd still be paying taxes on the land, right? So he's like a negative $6,000-7,000 a month just on this land. He's got to pay taxes on a year. So we agreed that he was going to pay me $25,000 to take this house. Okay, he just said, take it. You know, you have it. You have this headache. Negative $25,000. Has anybody heard? Here, I'll pay you to take this.
Well, yeah, I am a little worried about talking to the accountants about the capital gains tax.
Well, whatever.
For you, but
it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. But we did put 100 in. I mean, we did major work to this, and then we rented it out, and it's a good rental. We weren't exactly killing it, but we were making a good solid, probably 10% of our money, and the house appreciated.
Really?
During COVID. And so, Brook, you and I walked through it, and we agreed there was going to be some things that we didn't have to do to rent it. I mean, the bathroom was clean, the kitchen was clean, the floors were okay. Basement, nobody's using the basement anyways when you rent it. So, but now we got to get it teed up to sell. So tell us what we did to those key areas?
Sure. So we'll start it in the bathroom. The bathroom has that real kind of nice, classic, old style look, with the old subway tiles. But when we first bought the house, we put down this kind of cheap luxury vinyl tile.
That's kind of an oxymoron, this cheap luxury vinyl.
It wasn't cheap, but it's not like we broke the bank to install it. But, as a rental, it smelled kind of bad. So we wanted to keep that classic look to the floor. So all we did was we just pulled up that tile. We bought some nice kind of mosaic white to keep with the look of it. Had a guy spend a couple days, put new floor down on the floor.
That was Pete?
That was Pete. So we kept that kind of old style look. And then we slapped a new color on the wall, changed the light bulbs from that kind of bright white to that soft white, cleaned the windows, painted the radiators. And then we brought in Joe to do some kind of magic brick on the tile.
Yeah, well, stop. For those who don't know, what's magic brick?
So magic brick is what we refer to when you take your time and you match the color of whatever you're painting. So in this case, for tile, instead of having to tear all the tile down or replace certain parts, certain pieces, when you try to replace certain pieces on a tile wall, there's a chance it's going to be like a Jenga game where you pull one tile out and the whole wall could just fall out. So to save time, to save headache, to save money, we matched up paint at Sherwin, got about 4 different cans of paint. Travis, who's an artist and a painter, he came in, picked it out, and he showed Joe. He got a little artist paintbrush and he just kind of lightly dabbed on these cracks going up kind of one section.
So the crack just disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, magic brick is something I created probably about 35 years ago when we accidentally spilled paint on can-dropped white paint on red brick. And those were the days of oil paint. And we immediately, some old school painter guy had taught me this when I first was painting. He said, when you ever drop paint, first thing you do is you get a bucket of dirt. You just throw it in there. Let the dirt absorb. You just keep throwing dirt, absorb it, like on a sidewalk. But this had also splattered onto the red brick. Well, what I discovered is, why don't we just take red paint and we'll just kind of brush it on there and the white will all disappear. Well, then we started utilizing that by telling our customers when we're selling, the paint job is, okay, we're going to do the house, we're going to do the garage, we're going to glaze the windows, and we're going to wash the windows as we go. So we're going to throw in the washing. So now all your windows are washed. And then look at all these past jobs. Houses like, 80 years old. They had probably 20 jobs. It's a brick house. And they got all the old white paint that's splattered around, when the college kids or the, maybe the dad was painting the house and, just making a mess. Well, I decided we were going to take some 2-inch brushes. We're going to go around with a can of red paint and we're just going to dab over the white splatters. Looks like brand new brick. So then we started incorporating that on subway tile with cracks, old school white tile floors that I grew up with. So these are the tricks of the trade that it's interesting how our painting company, which is very well established in Cleveland, Reilly Painting and Contracting, we picked up all these little tips and now we're applying them to fixing up a house.
Right.
Washing windows, fixing up the subway tile, the old tile without having to retile, without having to do the, the $20,000 bath or kitchen remodeling. We've identified what the sore spot is in that room. Is it the floor, which is kind of a half-ass floor refinishing? Is it that stalactite plaster ceiling? I mean, it looks ugly. Should we take that down? Basically, what you want to do when people are looking at the house is you want to take the cringe factor out of that room. Because, let's face it, everybody's going to paint it their own color. They're going to redecorate down the road. But they don't want to feel like they have to do it on day one. Kitchen looks nice. It looks nice and clean. Smells good. There's no grease. Floor looks good. Nice and clean. A little bit more upgrade than rental. But it's for the first time home buyer. Yeah, this looks good. Yeah, well, we don't have to do a renovation. It's ready to move in. And for us, selling an Airbnb property, we're already furnished, where we're literally telling the people, you're not only buying a house that has no violations, that we've fixed up, that's ready to move into. But when I say ready to move into, it is ready to move into. You have linen, you have towels, you have cookware, you have everything is there that's furnished, and maybe you're coming from your kind of dorm room apartment, right? I know when my wife and I bought, our first house, coming from a little 1-bedroom bungalow to a 4-bedroom house, from like 800 square feet to 2,200 square feet. I mean, we didn't have any furniture. Well, now you got the furnishings. So what else did we do, Brook?
Yeah, so this is a kind of trick I learned when I sold my first house. There were 3 different shades of stain on the floor throughout the house. You had one color, like a kind of a cherry orange in the bedrooms. The color of the hallway and the stairs were kind of this dark espresso brown. And then the living room, dining room was that kind of nice, classic, kind of dark American chestnut. So what we did was we recognized that the living room and dining room floors were good. All we needed to do is just rejuvenate it. Rejuvenate is a product Home Depot sells where, you sweep, you mop, and then you put it down. It's a liquid product, and it kind of just, it literally rejuvenates the floor. It gives it that kind of nice shine.
So it's kind of like a floor wax with a color, right?
It's a more water-based friendly wax.
Yeah.
Which is, it's just a nice, I don't want to say cheap, but inexpensive way to kind of give your floors that nice kind of shine.
It's like waxing your car. You wash it.
Yeah.
That's the thing when you wash your car, as when you're doing a floor or we're doing windows, you got to make sure you're doing it right. When you wash your car, what I learned from the old timers on Carnegie Avenue, these old guys that, they spent their whole life washing cars. When they're done rinsing it down, they take towels and they dry off the car. So it eliminates that beating. Yeah, the car's washed. There's no more salt or dirt or stuff like that. But just to get that extra layer, so it just looks even. And that's what rejuvenate is. Right?
Yeah. So we only did that on the first floor because it didn't need to be refinished. We did refinish the steps and the second floor hallway. And we matched it as close as possible to the living room and dining room. So when you walk in, you see the stairs, they're nice and clean, they're stained, there's a coat of polyurethane on it. So you're immediately walking in the front door and you're seeing floors that are in nice shape. Now, one of the things I was trying to figure out how to problem solve was we didn't want to refinish the bedrooms because that would have taken a lot of time. We would have had to move the furniture out, sanded them. So what I did was the bedrooms were that kind of orange cherry look. The hallway now is that kind of medium American chestnut. So all we did was we just installed some bare wood transition strips between the hallway and the bedroom, the 3 bedrooms, and then we stained and polyurethane them to match the hallway. So you don't see that kind of cheap look of one color to another. You have that transition strip that kind of, it signals that it just makes a room look, not as cheap.
Well, again, you're taking the sting out of it.
Taking this thing out of it, and you're solving a problem that costs material-wise $30.
Right. How many hours do you think we spent getting that from rental grade house to sale house?
I'd say 160
Okay.
hours.
So basically we put about 10,000 in. We put about $10,000 in. This is all retail costs. These aren't our internal costs. So we had to pull guys off of jobs that were making money, and we pretended, hey, we're working for a customer getting this house ready to sell. So
We're also too, I mean, we're doing this work in the middle of February where it's cold, it's snowy. That's usually a time of year where our work slows down. So it was a good way to keep a couple guys, occupied. But in my opinion, if we would have not done a thing, we would have handed the keys to a realtor. The house would have sat there for at least a month. We would have probably listed it at, I don't know, 175,
well, we listed it for how much?
220.
Okay. So if we hadn't done anything, we would have listed for, let's say, 185, right? Let's just say 185. Okay. We'd have tested more the higher, but we haven't done anything to it. It's still looking a little tired, a little kind of, looks like a used rental car, as opposed to a used car you buy from a dealership. I mean, you buy a used car from a dealership, I mean, it smells like a new car. I mean, it is detailed to the T. I mean, they're using toothbrushes, cleaning every corner. I mean, it looks like a new car. It's been waxed, on the outside. So they probably had a guy, spend a half a day to a day, one guy just detailing everything, hand washing the windows, hand washing that, get rid of the smell. So, and they can move the product. That's what we did here. We as is 185. We put 10 in. Now we got to get at least 195, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. We put it at 220 and we got 5,000 over asking, right?
Yep.
So believe me, putting money into really dotting all the I's, crossing all the T's about that house, taking the sting out, making it look move-in ready, makes all the difference.
100%.
And plus, you're not sitting there waiting for an offer for months. People don't factor in how much does it cost you if you're just gung-ho, I don't want to put any money into it. I'm going to list it sky high and I'm determined to get this price, but I'm not going to put any money into it. It's like what Josh Brown said. Hey, buddy, the market is what the market is. Hey, let's stop here. We got to pay some bills. 30 seconds. And we'll be back. If you've been listening to this podcast, then you understand or should understand the pitfalls of investing in Cleveland real estate. Say you're looking for an investment property to rent, and these are the things that could happen and often do. You overpay for a house, and it's in the ghetto. Then you find that it's a money pit with endless surprise repairs. Your hapless property manager, who may be the brother-in-law of the realtor, gets a tenant who after 3 months stops paying the rent. Then the toilet explodes and you have nobody to repair it because guess what? The property manager is not answering the phone. Yep, that's the ugly side of the Cleveland real estate market. But we have a solution. Buy one of our properties. It's been inspected. It's been vetted. It's in a rock solid part of town. It comes with a gold star tenant paying top dollar rent, and we manage it. Call us at 216-371-8160 if you're interested.
The difference though, with this is if you see a house on Zillow and it's sat there for 45 days, people are going to be like, why is this sitting here?
Yeah,
for
exactly.
45 days. So that, the difference between that and like a stock, it's like, seeing the active days just getting checked off of like, all right, it's been there for a week. All right, 2 weeks. All right. It's just like,
There's something wrong here.
it starts
Something
becoming
kind of fishy.
smelly.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the house next to ours, that sat there for a year. They were
finally sold.
And it finally sold, but it was a dump.
Yeah.
I mean, asphalt. They had an asphalt walkway.
Yeah.
Think about that. From the sidewalk, you go up 2 steps, brick, and you walk to the front entryway, and it's asphalt. I mean, they did, and they fixed up, they painted the house, they put new windows in and stuff like that, but they got a dead tree, they got branches, they didn't bother cleaning up the lawn. It's like, look if you're going to spend all this money, to renovate it, go the extra mile, do the little things that make all the difference. We had ours on the market, priced right, 1 week, under contract, right?
Yeah.
So now go ahead, Brooke, continue. A few other things you did.
Oh yeah. So the basement was
the dungeon, not the basement.
the dungeon. The dungeon. Yeah, all we did was, I don't know why initially we decided to paint it a dark color.
I think you were involved in that.
No, I didn't pick that. That was someone
Brooke,
I know.
Brooke likes that go like walking into his bathroom, it's all black.
I like the gothic look, but you better have some effing windows in there.
I know.
So we brightened up the walls and the ceiling. We painted them this kind of nice off-white, not bright white, kind of off-white. So it gives it that kind of nice warmth. And, Sherwin sells a really good porch and floor paint. There's a little tip. They sell it in 3 different shades of gray. That does not mean you have to choose gray. You can tint it to any color. So we tinted it to this kind of dark, like a raisin, which,
That's a cool color, Rick.
it looks nice. And, you're turning a dungeon to a livable, if you're ambitious enough, get a nice rug.
Or a lot of people now are working out downstairs.
Turn it into a gym.
Yeah, they got you got some yoga mats, they got some workout mats, maybe they got
The basements are key. I mean, it's like just getting it cleaned up, put some paint on the walls, paint the floor, that's stuff you can do. And you're turning a space from, cobweb central to clean,
Right.
So,
well, here's the here's what the majority of buyers who are coming in to look at a house to buy, the first thing they do is they pull up, obviously, in their car, in front of the house. Now, this is where your house has to have some curb appeal. It's attractive. Okay, this looks good. It looks like it's maintained. There's no weeds. There's no garbage. The windows aren't, caked with dirt, grime. Everything looks clean. The doorway looks clean, et cetera, et cetera. You're walking up. You're not walking on asphalt on the walkway. It's a nice stone walkway. The garden, if there's a little bit of cleanup on the garden, the beds are edged. The sidewalk, the grass has been edged and trimmed, even if it's in the wintertime. You got things cleaned up. There's no dead leaves matted on there. So, okay, people are going to say, all right, I'm going to go into this house just based on what I'm seeing on the curb. Okay? When they go in, they're going to take a quick look at the hallway, first, take a look at the living room, and they're going right to the kitchen. Right to the kitchen. And then, kitchen looks good. Keep going. Now they're going up the stairs. They're going to take a cursory look at the bedrooms, maybe a little bit more involved look in the master bedroom, but they are definitely going to the bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
The bathroom is the second floor kitchen in importance. The bathroom looks nice and clean, no mold, tiles in good shape, floor looks good, nice lighting, not cheap rental bullshit.
Well, forgive me
lighting.
If you said this at the start, because ironically I was reading the offer from our realtor, just emailed it to me. The first thing I'm looking when I step outside is the roof.
Yeah.
That's number one. So I'm not expecting it to be, 2 years old. But if you've got a bunch of moss up there, if the gutters are packed, if, shingles are kind of loose,
Right.
if you have slates and the slates, if you're missing some, that is the first thing that you should do.
Right.
And then you're right. You're walking into the kitchen, you're walking through the living spaces, but it's kitchen, it's bathrooms.
Well, I know it's semantics. But let me continue on my tour because I really think it's kitchen, curb appeal, quick look downstairs, kitchen, upstairs, bathroom, cursory look to the bedrooms. Now they're still interested. Yeah, now it's kind of made the grade. It's made the cut. Now they want to go deeper. Now they're going to go down to the basement. They're going to go down to the basement and they're going to look for, is there any water leaks? Is it a leaky basement? Is there mold on there? And that's why it's important. It smells good. It's clean. It's whatever. Then they're going to go outside and then they're going to look at the roof. Because a lot of times when you see a roof, it could be looking in the wintertime, snow covered, can't tell. But I agree with you. Roof is important. And that's something we did. We took care of the moss, right, in the back. That's what Bob's crew did.
Yeah, the back of the house.
We cleaned up the moss. And now they're going to check the garage. We got some work to do on the garage roof. We haven't finished that.
Well, the big thing too, and I told our crew this morning because they were bouncing around the 4 houses that we're listing is, I told one of our guys to, because I was struggling to be like, how descriptive do I get with the list of work? I put down the main things, but I told him, I said, I want you to just imagine if you're going into this house and you want to make an offer, what are you looking for? So if you set the tone when you pull up, if you're seeing trash on the walkway, if you're seeing leaves piled up in the beds, if you're seeing a dirty window, if you're seeing, that trash bag that's just kind of sitting there or that
been sit there for years,
that can of Coke there, you're walking into it being like, all right, if they didn't take the time to even do that, they're definitely not going to be taking the time to do
right,
the important stuff.
Well, that's the glass half full, half empty. And that goes to something I developed in our painting and contracting business. Business 50 years, but I started getting my shit together probably 40, 45 years. But we had a big emphasis on end of the day cleanup. And that meant drop cloths shaken out, folded. The garage where we're storing our equipment looks like a Marine Corps locker. Cigarette butts, paint chips, all cleaned up. If we're working inside, we're cleaning the areas with Murphy's oil soap so they smell the Murphy. We used to call it smelling the Murphys when the customer got back. So the customer's coming home. He or she's coming home 6 o'clock. They've had a long day. And they're paying us X number of $1,000 to do this work. The first thing you want to do is present them with a clean house. Like when that buyer is coming to our house looking at it, it's got to be clean because now the glass is half full. They look at the job differently. If it looks messy, dirty, shitty, that colors their perception of what they're seeing on the contracting work. I mean, I call that the scary movie effect. Have you ever seen it? You see some really super scary movie. I can assure you when you go to bed, you're hearing sounds you never heard before. And that's exactly what you want to be doing in shaping perception. Now, yeah, is that roof new? At our house? No, it's not new, but we're not getting any leaks. We clean the gutters. We maintain the house. We keep the moss off the roof. And they've seen that what we've been doing is maintaining this house. So, yeah, they're going to ask the question. They should ask the question, the age of the roof, etc. We're going to get back to them an answer. But they're giving us the benefit of the doubt. And that's what you need when you show a house. In fact, do yourself a favor. If you're showing a house, you're getting your house ready to go, have somebody who's got no skin in the game. somebody to come in and just get your own little focus group going and say, all right, hey, Jack, can you come over? Your friend, pretend you're a buyer. What are you seeing when you walk in? Well, geez, man, Mike, it's kind of smells in here, And make sure you're bringing a guy friend, because guys will tell you the real deal. Women, well, yeah, it looks nice. No, it doesn't. It doesn't look nice. It doesn't look nice. It doesn't smell nice.
I don't know. I have some women in my life who aren't afraid to.
Okay, good. Then you've got a good crew. But I know my wife's friends, oh my God, it would look, it's like the advisors talking to Trump. You are the greatest. You are a genius.
Best I've ever seen.
Yeah, man. Thank God sent you to take care of our economy. What stock market? Yeah. Again, the market is the market. The market is what the market is. If that house stinks, if that house is, got a messy and trash there, the market's seeing that, and the market's going to react. Okay. You're looking at that phone. What else, Brook?
No, I just want to. It's a good offer. I'm just, I need to focus on the podcast and not read.
Come on. You're distracting me.
8-page.
Too bad it's on video, right? Yo, Brook, you still there with us?
Well, it's kind of like those, not to talk sports, but you'll see like Adam Schefter on SportsCenter doing NFL free agency, and he's being interviewed, and you could tell like he just got some major news, and he's just kind of like, hold on, and he's like, I don't care about you, I care about her.
I know. Exactly. But that gets us down to our final point. Okay, we got an offer in place, right?
Right.
Let's kind of explore, what do you do when you get that first offer? Well, first of all, if it's just been the house has just been on the market for a week, you are not taking any lower offers. Okay, that you are not even entertaining that. It's either asking or above. That's it. Then you're going to get. You want to look at, and I think this is the most important thing that we've got burned on in the past. And if you're new to the buying a house for investment or to live in, you want to be aware of how good is the financing. Is this somebody who's got no money, credit is shitty and not qualified, and they're giving you over asking? You better start looking at the fine details of that offer. Right, Brook?
Yeah, I think, there's certain banks that we've just learned that have a tendency to wait till the last hour of closing to bring up any issues. But that same bank I had an issue with, we sold a house a couple weeks ago through that bank, and there were no problems.
Yeah.
So I know a big thing for us is working with a title company that we trust. I will say, having been around the block, a handful of times with selling our properties, the title company, at the end of the day, it really comes down to who the buyer wants to use, and the seller is, it's more so the buyer's choice. And again, we were pretty adamant about using a specific title company a couple of years ago, which, hey, if I could use the same title company for every transaction, I would. But the house we just sold, we didn't. We used some other title company, and they were great. So, I think we've learned over the certain transactions of kind of what to look for. But yeah, for me, it's looking at how fast is it going to close. Is it 90 days?
And this is a fast close, right?
This is 30 days.
They want in.
It's over asking. The first thing out of my mouth when a realtor called me, I was like, well, okay, so what's the catch? How are you screwing me? And she was like, hey.
Like The Big Short?
Yeah.
I just want to know how you're fucking me. That's all.
And so she's like, I don't know. Let me read the fine print of the offer. The offer looks good. I think these are buyers who are like, we want this house. I'm sure a lot of them are like, we've been burned by offers in the past. If we need to toss on a couple thousand more to just show you that we want this, we want to close fast.
Right.
In my opinion,
motivated buyer.
It's a no-brainer. So The fast close, the over asking, the fact that it's between the same real estate company is good. So
you know what? Let's stop on that as we wind this thing, because that's a very important piece. You know, with the free agency hitting the real estate market, this is where I started hearing this from Mike Ferrante years ago when we were partnering up, and he would always rank the realtor he was dealing with. Does this person know what they're doing? Are they flaky? Are they one of these people that just got into it? Hey, I want to get into real estate, man, or is it somebody, some guy with stars in his eyes, or some lady who's just doing this to just do it? Good place to have some lunch. It's kind of fun. But we're not talking about a piranha. We're not talking about a sharp person that you're dealing with. So we're going to talk to Lauren, and one of the questions we're both going to ask is, how legit is this offer? Because if the buyer is being represented by a very, competent realtors do not want to waste their time on idiot buyers who don't have any money.
They both have skin in the game.
Exactly.
To get it done.
Exactly. When I bought, our dream house a year and a half ago, I was fortunate because I was able to talk directly to the realtor before it went on the market. And I didn't really think about it at the time. It was only a couple months ago, as we were starting to sell some of our own properties, I realized that I was approaching this realtor who had the listing. It's not on the market, so he hasn't done anything yet. Okay? They haven't even got the
No
POS.
photos.
Pardon me?
Like no marketing, no photos.
Nothing.
Yeah.
No photos, no nothing. And here I am saying, what do you got this listed for? What's the price? And he gave me the price. I said, send me the contract. Now, think about it. He does not have to split the commission.
Or do any work.
Yeah. I am now his best friend. All I got to do is show him that, yeah, I've got the money. I can afford this. And it was...
Yeah, I remember I dropped that check off.
Yeah.
And you were like, I don't care what you've got on your plate. You need to drive this check up to so-and-so out in Pepper Pike. And I was like, okay.
$25,000. We're not talking 1,000 earnest money. We're talking put up or shut up.
Well, that's the thing too. I mean, you talk about, is the buyer motivated? Do they want it? I remember when I was selling my house on Wyatt, I mean, tons of showings. And, I kept hearing, oh, they're interested. And it's like, until you see that email saying, here's your offer.
Right.
Here's their signature. Here's the price. Here's the closing. Here are all of the guidelines.
Right.
Until you get that, it's all BS.
Right.
So it's that's the most important thing is you get that offer, you read it through, but no one is interested until you send out a contract and until it's signed.
Right. Now, the last point I'm going to make here is the spring market. You have it priced. How do you know when it's priced too high? Again, the market is what the market is, right?
You'll know.
Right. Well, you'll know because
by lack of showings.
You're not getting any. Well, you're getting showings, but you're not getting any offers. It's like
too. It's like if you price a home in a bad part of Cleveland Heights and you're pricing it in Shaker Heights, Fairmount, that price point, people are going to be like, F and pass.
Right.
I'm not even going to waste my time there.
Yeah, you're not getting anybody showing up.
So that price better, it's like, if you see a price, check comps, you check the neighborhood and be, okay, yeah.
Right.
220?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's in the ballpark.
I'll take a look.
Yeah.
Take a look.
Exactly. Again, like the market. The market is telling Trump, MAGA, Fox News, they're getting freaked out over this half-assed tariff policy. Up, down, tariffs on, tariffs off, 20 posts at midnight on True Social. It's just crazy. Doesn't make it. And the market is reacting, by the sell-off. It is what it is. And if you don't get an offer within a week, no showings, no offer.
It's priced too high.
It's priced too high. The house maybe you didn't do anything to the house. It looks like a dump. And you're not going to get. So are you going to keep just your head in the sand, wishing it away? Or are you going to just say, we've got to do something? And, you've got to ask yourself, maybe I pull it off the market. Pull it off the market, clean it up, put it back on the market at a different price. Or you start lowering the price in $10,000 increments. And that's the key. You find out where the market is by price drops. Because as soon as you drop that price, now people are going to say, okay, yeah, all right, well, that's a fair price for this house.
They're coming down.
They're coming
to their senses.
Yeah, or they don't even know that. You see, a lot of times people don't realize the price just got dropped. They don't know. Now, if they have a savvy realtor, their savvy realtor said, yeah, they just did a price drop. Now they're going to give you an offer, but that offer may be 20% lower than what you're asking, right? Because they're sensing fear in the water and they're reacting like a shark. And that's the problem. You gotta drop that price quickly, and you'll have people that are not aware of that. But now, that's the funny thing about the market. The funny thing about the market is it's the aggregate of millions of people. And they all kind of come to the same conclusion, the majority of them. That's why you have sell-offs. You have sell-offs on a stock across the board because people say, I'm afraid this economy is going sideways. So you have some panic selling. All of a sudden news comes around. Trump's not doing any tariffs anymore. Okay, he's on his meds. And all of a sudden the market's going to rebound accordingly because of the emotion, because of the euphoria of it. There's panic selling and there's panic buying. I got to buy this house because there may not be any more houses to buy. That's what happened during COVID. So as soon as you put that house on the market, you got 10 offers. Boom, like LA. So, all right, final thoughts, Brooke. This has been good.
My final thoughts are, I sound like a broken record, but take the time, do your homework, walk around your house with a notepad, write down stuff that you want to do, figure out how much it's gonna cost, check your comps, check the neighborhood, check the condition of your neighbors, what their homes are like, and talk to someone, hire someone who you trust, who, if you're not in the real estate game, you want to make sure that you're partnering up with someone who knows what they're doing.
Not a friend, not a brother-in-law who's a realtor. Now, you could hire your brother-in-law or your sister-in-law or whatever who's a realtor as long as you think they know what they're doing. Okay? Who knows what the market is, what the market means. It's not in fantasy land. So we'll end on that note. Thanks, Amari.
All right.
We'll get some ads to throw in there. Use our services, right, Amari? For in-home inspection, no bullshit. We'll tell you what the market is. Mm-hmm. Okay, you got a house to sell in Cleveland. We might buy it, but we're certainly going to know how to sell it. We'll end on that note.
Thank you for listening to the Cleveland Real Estate Investor Podcast with Mike Reilly. Please add our show or follow us on Spotify, Overcast, Apple Podcast, or Spotify. Leave a like or comment on the video. All engagement is appreciated. Subscribe to us on YouTube as well for video content coming soon. For any Cleveland listeners or Cleveland Browns fans, you can check out our other podcast, Cleveland Browns Anonymous, for our weekly group therapy session. This is also on all the same platforms as the Cleveland Real Estate Investor.